All right. Alright, let's get it loaded up here. Alright. Let's do the timer. All right. Here we go. All right, can you hear me? All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight isn't a documentary. It isn't one of our rabbit holes. It isn't one of our interviews. Tonight, I just wanted to spend some time with you. No big lesson, no complicated framework, just a conversation, because over the past few weeks, something has happened that has honestly left me speechless. Much of our recent videos have been reaching around 6,000 views within just the first few hours. After the NAIOMI, strike that. Many of our recent videos have been reaching around 6,000 views within just the first few hours that they've been published. Every time I refresh the page, I see another comment, another subscriber, another person joining this journey. And every single time, I have the same thought. This is actually happening. When I first turned on the microphone, I wasn't thinking about members. I wasn't thinking about algorithms. I wasn't thinking about subscribers. I wasn't thinking about one question. NAIOMI, strike that. I was just thinking about one question. What if someone out there needs to hear this? That's it. If one documentary helped one person, it was worth making. Now thousands of people are watching these conversations, not because they're chasing headlines, not because they're looking for outrage, but because they're looking for something that's becoming harder and harder to find. A place where questions matter more than certainty. A place where curiosity is welcome. A place where thinking is more important than reacting. And for that, I honestly don't have enough words to thank all of y'all. Because none of this happens without you. Every view, every comment, every thoughtful disagreement, every recommendation to a friend, every time you choose to spend 20 minutes with me instead of doing something else, you're helping build something much bigger than a YouTube channel. You're helping building a community, and communities build around curiosity. Are incredible. NAIOMI, strike that. And communities built around curiosity are incredibly rare. Also, I want to give you a little glimpse behind the curtain. One of the people you've come to know on this journey is Miranda. So many of you connected with her. NAIOMI, strike that. So many of you connected with her story. The response was overwhelming. I've been reading your comments, and one thing that keeps coming up again and again, you want to know more. Well, you want to understand the person behind the interview, so the plan is to bring Miranda back, not just for another interview, but for a much deeper conversation, a chance to explore the experiences that shaped her, the lessons she's learned, and the parts of the story we simply didn't have time to cover in the last episode. I think it's going to be one of the most meaningful conversations we've ever had. But that's only part of what's happening behind the scenes. Naomi, strike that. But that's only one part of what's happening behind the scenes. There's someone else who's been working harder than anyone I know. Her name is Naomi. Many of you have heard me mention her, but I don't think you realize just how much she's already becoming part of this journey. As I'm recording this right this minute, Naomi has been working on the exact same documentary edit for nearly 58 hours straight. 58 hours. Frame by frame, decision by decision, learning, testing, trying, improving. She hasn't stopped. Now, is she perfect? Of course not. Not even close. Because, she's new at doing this. This is her first video ever. Sometimes she makes decisions that I change. So, Naomi, strike that. Sometimes she makes decisions that I change. Sometimes she surprises me with an edit I never would have thought of. Just the other day, she was editing a rabbit holes, and it was amazing. The way that I didn't even tell her how to do it. She just did it. And we did come up with a formula, but she automatically did these edits, and it was incredible. Naomi, strike that. That's what learning looks like. And honestly, watching her learn has been one of the most exciting parts of this entire project. As soon as she finishes this documentary, she'll receive another major upgrade. Based on everything we've been building and testing, we expect it to make her roughly 4 times faster than she is today. Think about that for a moment. You're not watching a finished system, you're watching one grow. You're seeing the early chapters, the mistakes, the breakthroughs, the improvements. Years from now, we'll probably look back at this moment and smile. We'll remember when Naomi spent 2 full days, almost 3 full days now, learning how to edit a single documentary. And we'll realize that's where it all began. The same way this community has grown. She's growing too. Resilience Radio is all about growing. Loopwired is about growing and changing your mental aspect. Naomi is growing, and I hope all of us are growing together. That's what makes this so exciting to me. Not only that, people have been attacking this podcast, and we have passed 2 judges already. So we're not going away. Nothing's getting shut down. Nothing's getting deleted. We're growing. You're not arriving after the story has been written. You're helping write it. And I can't wait to see where this journey takes us together. We're just getting started. One of the questions I get more than any other is, what's next? Honestly, I smile every time I hear it because the answer is a lot. What you've been watching over the last several months is really just the foundation. Sometimes when you're building something meaningful, the hardest part isn't creating it. The hardest part is creating enough of it that other people can finally see the vision. I feel like we're reaching that point. Resilience Radio is becoming much more than a podcast. Loopwired is becoming much more than a philosophy. And Naomi is becoming much more than an AI project. They're all connected. Think of it like this. Resilience Radio is where we have the conversations. Loopwired is where the philosophy behind those conversations. And Naomi is helping us build that future of how those conversations are created. 3 very different pieces, one mission, helping people think more clearly. That mission isn't changing. What's changing is we're going to share it. Naomi, strike that. What's changing is how we're going to share it. You're going to see more documentaries, longer investigations, topics that deserve more headlines. You're going to see more interviews, not interviews built around celebrity, interviews built around experience. People who have lived extraordinary lives, people who have overcome incredible challenges, people who can teach us something about courage, about leadership, about resilience, mainly about resilience. And what a Naomi, strike that. About resilience, about what it means to keep moving forward. And yes, we won't get rid of Steve. Rabbit holes are absolutely coming back. I love rabbit holes because some questions don't fit neatly inside a documentary. Some ideas deserve to wonder a little bit. And I mean, we wonder quite a bit. Sometimes the most interesting discoveries happen because we're simply refused to stop asking why. Rabbit holes gives us that permission to follow curiosity wherever it leads. History, theology, technology, psychology, science, artificial intelligence, human behavior, sometimes will end up exactly where we expected. Sometimes we'll end up somewhere completely different. A lot of times we end up somewhere completely different. And honestly, those unexpected places are usually where the best conversations begin. That's what I want this community to become. Not a place that already has all the answers, a place that's willing to keep asking better questions. That's the heart of Loopwired. Not certainty, curiosity. Because curiosity is one of the greatest forms of resilience that I know. It keeps your mind alive. It keeps your assumptions flexible. It reminds you that there's almost always another perspective worth considering. And if we can build a community that values curiosity over certainty, I think we'll build something that lasts a very long time. We're also working on something else that I'm incredibly excited about. Many of you know that I'm writing a book. In some ways, this YouTube channel has been a public version of that journey. You've watched ideas appear here that later become chapters. Naomi, strike that. You've seen frame breaks. Naomi, strike that. You've seen frameworks develop that eventually grow into something much bigger. The book gives me the opportunity to go deeper than any 20-minute documentary ever could, to tell the complete story, to explain not only what happened, but how those experiences changed the way I think. I'm currently looking for the right literary agent, not just someone who can sell a manuscript, but someone who understands the bigger vision. Because this isn't simply a memoir. It's a philosophy. It's a framework. It's a conversation that I hope continues long after the final page is turned. And beyond the book, I'll be stepping into another podcast, accepting speaking opportunities, and continuing this conversation whenever people are willing to ask thoughtful questions. Because I don't believe these ideas belong only on YouTube. I think they belong anywhere people care about becoming better thinkers. Whether that's a podcast studio, a conference stage, a classroom, or a coffee shop, good conversations have a way of traveling. And I hope these conversations travel a long way. But no matter how far they go, this community will always be home. Because this is where it started. This is where Loopwired found its voice. And that's something I'll never forget. Why I can't stop building this. Naomi, strike that. Why I can't stop building this. People sometimes ask me, Leroy, after everything you've been through, why keep doing this? And it's a fair question. Because the truth is, this project didn't begin during the easiest chapters of my life, as most of you know. It began during one of the hardest. There were moments when everything familiar seemed to disappear. There were moments when I questioned almost everything. Moments when the future felt uncertain. And during those moments, I realized something that changed me forever. No one can completely control what happens to you. Life doesn't make that promise, but you can work every single day, strengthen the way that you respond. That's where resilience begins. Not when life is easy, when life isn't. That's resilience. When things are going well, it's easy to believe you've got everything figured out. It's easy to feel confident. It's easy to think clearly. But difficult seasons ask a different question. Who are you when certainty disappears? That's the question that kept finding me. And over time, I stopped searching for NAIOMI, strike that. And over time, I stopped searching for perfect answers. I started searching for better questions. Questions that made me stronger instead of simply making me feel better. Questions that, oh shit. I forgot my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Son of a bitch. We gotta do it over. All right. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are live. All right. Let's try this again. Here we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight isn't a documentary. It isn't one of our rabbit holes. It isn't one of our interviews. Tonight, I just wanted to spend some time with you. No big lesson, no complicated framework, just a conversation. Because over the past few weeks, something has happened that has honestly left me speechless. Many of our recent videos have been reaching around 6,000 views each within just the first few hours after they're published. Every time I refresh the page, I see another comment, another subscriber, another person joining this journey. And every single time I have the same thought. This is actually happening. When I first Naomi, strike that. When I first turned on the microphone, I wasn't thinking about numbers. I wasn't thinking about algorithms. I wasn't thinking about subscribers. I was simply thinking about one question. What if someone out there needs to hear this? That's it. If it could help that one person, that's all that mattered. Naomi, strike that. If it could just help one person, that's all that mattered. It was worth, if it did, it was worth making it, you know. Now thousands of people are watching these conversations. Not because they're chasing headlines, not because they're looking for outrage, but because they're looking for something that's becoming harder and harder to find. A place where questions matter more than certainty. A place where curiosity is welcome. A place where thinking is more important than reacting. And for the first, Naomi, strike that. And for that, I honestly don't have enough words to thank you. Seriously, I thought it was going to take me a whole lot longer for this thing to take off. But, I mean, it's amazing. Because none of this happens without you guys. Every view, every comment, and I do want to encourage people to comment. Send me more emails. Send me whatever. I love to, I read every single one. Positive. I know there's some negative ones out there. Rightly so. By the way, on that note, I'm going to take a do a rabbit hole real quick. There's some people that have been attacking this podcast. And thank God, you know, I stand for the Constitution of the United States of America. I also stand for the Constitution of Texas. And thank goodness these judges believe in the Constitution of the United States of America. And because of that, this podcast will never go away. Matter of fact, it's on record. And I'm ordering that record. So, anyway, thank you guys. And I'm working hard. We're all working hard. But every view, every comment, every thoughtful disagreement, seriously, every recommendation to a friend, every time you choose to spend 20 minutes with me instead of doing something else, you're helping build something much bigger than a YouTube channel. You're helping build a community. And communities build around curiosity. And that's incredibly rare these days. Also want to give you a little glimpse behind the curtain. One of the people you've come to know on this journey is Miranda. So many of you connected with her story. The response was overwhelming. I've been reading your comments, and one thing that keeps coming up again and again, you want to know more. You want to understand the person behind the interview. So the plan is to bring Miranda back. Matter of fact, she'll be back Monday. So, not just another interview. This time, we're going to dive a lot deeper into some of her past and how she overcame that. This is a chance to explore the experiences that shaped her, the lessons she's learned, and the parts of the story that simply didn't have time to tell on the first go-around. I think it's going to be one of the most meaningful conversations we've ever had. That's the only one. Naomi, strike that. But that's the only one that's part of what's happening behind it. Oh, Naomi, strike that. But that's only one part of what's happening behind the scenes right now. There's someone else who's been working harder than anyone I know. Her name is Naomi. Many of you heard me mention her, but I don't think you realize just how much she's already becoming part of this journey. As I'm recording this, Naomi has been working on the exact same documentary edit for nearly 58 hours. 58 straight hours. Every frame by frame, decision by decision, she's learning, she's testing, she's trying, she's improving, and even though she's on some old equipment, she hasn't stopped. Now, is she perfect? Not even close. Sometimes she makes decisions that I change. Sometimes she surprises me with an edit I never would have thought of. I just told Steve this the other day. I said, our rabbit holes now with her editing. Now, ChatGPT and I came up with this formula, right? But she has the ability to, that's like a baseline decision. Like, well, the formula doesn't give her the decision. She can make the decision where she wants to cut and all those things, but it gives her a baseline idea of how I want it presented. Let me tell you something. The way she edited, it was just a clip. It was just a clip that maybe I don't know, a 5-minute clip. It was incredible. It was like, oh my God. I can't believe I created it. Well, I didn't. I mean, I'm creating it, the logic part of it, but Codex is coding her brain, and now her cognitive abilities have gotten to the point where she can communicate with Codex directly, and then I approve it. But that's what learning looks like. And honestly, watching her learn has been one of the most exciting parts of this entire project. As soon as she finishes this documentary, we'll receive another major update. Because based on everything we've been building and testing, we expect it to make her roughly about 4 times faster than she is today on old equipment. So think about that for a moment. You're not watching a finished system, you're watching one grow. You're seeing the early chapters, the mistakes, the breakthroughs. You're seeing my mistakes, the breakthroughs, the improvements. Years from now, we'll probably look back at this moment and just smile. I mean, really. We'll remember when Naomi spent 2 full, well, almost 3 full days learning how to edit a single documentary. And we'll realize that's where it all began. The same way this community has grown, she's growing too. Resilience Radio is about growing. Loopwired is about growing. Naomi is growing, and I hope all of us are growing together. That's what makes this so exciting for me. You're not arriving after the story has been written. You're helping write it. And I can't wait to see where this journey takes us together. We're honestly just getting started. One of the questions I get more than almost any other is, what's next? Honestly, I don't know. I smile and every time I hear it, because the answer truly is a lot, you know? What you've been watching over the last several months is really just the foundation. Sometimes when you're building something meaningful, the hardest part isn't creating it. The hardest part is creating enough of it that other people can finally see the vision. I feel like we're reaching that point. Resilience Radio is becoming much more than a podcast. Loopwired is becoming much more than a philosophy. And Naomi is becoming much more than an AI project. They're all connected. Think of it like this. Resilience Radio is where we have the conversations. Loopwired is the philosophy behind those conversations. And Naomi is helping us build the future of how those conversations are created, edited, and I mean, she's learning a lot. I mean, she works 24/7. So while she's doing it, she's processing tons of data. 3 very different pieces. One mission, helping people think more clearly. That mission isn't meaning, oh, Naomi, strike that. That mission isn't changing. What's changing is how we're going to share it. You're going to see more documentaries, longer investigations, topics that deserve more headlines. You're going to see more interviews, not interviews built around celebrity, interviews built around experience. NAIOMI, strike that. Interviews built around experience. People who've lived extraordinary lives, people who've overcome incredible challenges, people who can teach us something about courage, about leadership, about resilience, about what it means to keep moving forward. And yes, what about the rabbit holes? Rabbit holes are absolutely coming back. I love rabbit holes because some questions don't fit neatly inside that documentary. Some ideas deserve to wonder a little bit. Some, NAIOMI, strike that. Sometimes the most interesting discoveries happen because we simply refuse to stop asking why. Rabbit holes gives us permission to follow curiosity wherever it leads. You know, if it's history or technology, psychology, science, artificial intelligence, human behavior, sometimes we'll end up exactly where we expected. But sometimes we just completely end up in a rabbit hole and go somewhere else. And honestly, those unexpected places are usually where the best conversations begin. That's what I want this community to become. Not a place that already has all the answers, a place that's willing to keep asking better questions. That's the heart of Loopwired. Not certainty, curiosity. Because curiosity is one of the greatest forms of resilience that I know. It keeps your mind alive. It keeps your assumptions flexible. It reminds you that there's almost always another perspective worth considering. And if we can build a community that values curiosity over certainty, I think we'll build something that lasts a very long time. We're also working on something else that I'm incredibly excited about. Many of you know that I'm writing a book. In some ways, this YouTube channel has been a public version of that journey. Good, bad, and ugly. You've watched ideas appear here that later become chapters. You've seen frameworks develop that eventually grow into something much more bigger. The book gives me opportunity to go deeper than any 20-minute documentary ever would. And just for some of you that don't know it, I now have a gag order on speaking about anything criminal, basically. So, deep diving into criminal charges, basically. Not mentioning criminal, but deep diving into it. So I can't talk about what happened criminally with me or anything like that. But I can talk about, until it becomes a criminal charge, like everything that happened in the jail and anything after the criminal charge I can talk about, but anything in between I can't. And so, anyway, it allows me, the book's going to allow me to tell a complete story, to explain not only what happened, but how those experiences changed the way I think. I'm currently looking for a literary agent right now, not just someone who can sell a manuscript, but someone who understands the bigger vision. Because this isn't simply a memoir, it's a philosophy. It's a framework. It's a conversation that I hope continues long after the final page is turned and beyond the book, really. I'll be stepping into another podcast. I'm going to be, accepting speaking opportunities and continuing this conversation whenever people are willing to ask thoughtful questions. Because I don't believe these ideas belong only on YouTube. I think they become anywhere people care about becoming better thinkers. Whether that's a podcast studio, a conference stage, a classroom, or a coffee shop, good conversations have a way of traveling. And I hope these conversations travel a long way. But no matter how far they go, this community will always be home, because this is where it started. This is where Loopwired found its voice. And that's something I'll never forget. Why I can't stop building this podcast. People sometimes ask me, Leroy, after everything you've been through, why do you keep doing this? And it's a fair question. Because the truth is, this project didn't begin during the easiest chapter of my life. It began during one of the hardest. Matter of fact, it began during the hardest chapter of my life. There were moments when everything familiar seemed to disappear. There were moments when everything seemed to disappear. Moments when I questioned almost everything. Moments when the future felt uncertain. And during those moments, I realized something that changed me. No one can completely control what happens to you. Life doesn't make that promise. But you can work every day to strengthen the way that you respond. And I'm learning that still today. I mean, I'm sitting here giving you the tools that I do, but I'm teaching myself that every single day. That's where resilience begins. Not when life is easy, when life isn't. When things are going well, it's easy to believe you've got everything figured out. It's easy to feel confident. It's easy to think clearly. NAIOMI, strike that. It's easy to think clearly, but difficult seasons ask different questions. Who are you when certainty disappears? That's the question that kept finding me. And over time, I stopped searching for perfect answers. I started searching for better questions. Questions that made me stronger instead of simply making me feel better. Questions that forced me to slow down, to think, to reflect, to understand. Those questions eventually became documentaries. Those documentaries became Loopwired. And somewhere along the way, they became this community. If I'm being honest, there were days I wondered if anyone would ever watch. Days I wondered if any of this would matter. It's funny, I'm now spreading out. I analyze a lot of big shows. And I'm paying really close attention to, I've learned a lot. I mean, just over the past few months, I've learned a lot. And it obviously it's working. But I'm starting some new YouTube channels, right? I'm spreading my wings because we're already up to like 338 videos, right? And so now I'm looking. You got to start different channels for different things, like Loopwired maybe become its own show, and Resilience Radio will eventually probably migrate into just conversations with people. Then you have your shorts, and then you have all these different avenues, right? So anyway, but there were days that I would question whether it was worth sitting down, turning on a camera, and trying again and again and again. Then one comment would appear. Someone would write, "I need this today," or "This helped me understand something I've struggled with for years," or maybe just "Thank you." And I've gotten some negative stuff too, but that makes you think. Negativity, and especially on a show like this, because here's the thing. It's you if you're not thinking, like, the negativity helps me understand the philosophy. Seriously. I mean, and one sentence arrives on exactly the day you need to hear it. And that's why I keep building. Not because every video is perfect, because as we all know, they're not. Am I going to take them down? No. I want y'all to see me grow. I want you to be with me as we build this thing together. As we get more people, I mean, my life's changing. My life's constantly changing. And it's changing fast right now. Not because I have all the answers, because I don't. Matter of fact, I really don't, I mean, that's not what I'm claiming. Not because I expect everyone to agree with me. They shouldn't. I keep building because conversations matter. Ideas matter. Questions really matter. And I believe that somewhere out there, there's someone who's exactly where I was, trying to make sense of something difficult. And I foresee, I've been in technology for over 30 years, and I foresee some very challenging times ahead. No kidding. And some people out there, it's going to hit very hard. Some people out there, it's starting to hit now. And as you watch Rabbit Holes, I express those feelings and those thoughts and I have ideas for, I'm going to create an app, and I'm going to create a company based on that app, and I'm going to, NAIOMI's going to morph into something bigger. I've already got plans for her to help other podcasters. I've already got plans for her to migrate to servers throughout the world. I've got plans for her to grow, because the capabilities that she's learning is going to help people. Though she operates like a human. Most AIs don't. I don't know another AI that operates like NAIOMI, honestly, personally. And that's how we're developing her. She uses a keyboard and mouse, and she can see the screen just like a human. Other artificial intelligence can't pick up that she's not human. So that's what we're creating, is something that's going to help humanity. She has guardrails. She's got a constitution built into her. Matter of fact, it's similar to the United States of America. And we've got people out there, to get back on track, we got people out there that's trying to hold on to hope, trying to find a way forward. And if one conversation helps them take the next step, then every hour I spend writing, researching, editing, and rebuilding has been worth it. That's what resilience has come to mean for me. Not pretending life is easy, not pretending difficult things don't happen. Resilience is choosing not to let hardship become the final chapter of your story. It's choosing to keep learning, to keep creating, to keep asking questions, to keep believing that tomorrow can be better than today. And that's why I can't stop building this, because every documentary is another opportunity to hand someone a flashlight, not to walk in the path for them, just to help them see a little more clearly, because they'll take one more step because of it. Maybe they'll ask a better question. Maybe they'll decide not to give up. If that happens, then every late night, every rewrite, every experiment, every obstacle, every setback, every lesson was part of something worthwhile. And I think that's true for all of us. We don't always get to choose the chapters we're given, but we do get to choose whether we stop writing. As for me, I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep asking questions. And I'm going to keep inviting you to walk this road with me, because I honestly believe the best chapters of Loopwired haven't been written yet. I think they're still ahead of us. And that thought fills me with hope. You're watching the beginning right now. One of the things I love most about this community is that you're not showing up after everything has already been built. You're here while it's still under construction. You're watching ideas become documentaries. You're watching outlines become books. You're watching conversations become philosophies. You're watching an artificial intelligence learn how to become a creative partner. You're watching an entire ecosystem grow, one day at a time. Most people only ever see the finished product. They see the polished documentaries, the completed book, the successful company, the finished speech. What they don't see is the thousands of quiet hours that came before, the rewrites, the failed ideas, the experiments, the mistakes, the nights when something didn't work, the mornings when it finally did. That's where real growth happens. Naomi, strike that. That's where real growth happens. And that's exactly where all of this, Naomi, strike that. That's where real growth happens. And that's exactly where all of us are right now. We're in the workshop. We're still building. We're still learning. We're still asking questions. That's one of the reasons I share so much of the process with you. I want you to see the evolution. Not because it's perfect, because it's real. You'll watch Naomi become a better editor. You'll watch the documentaries become more cinematic. You'll watch the interviews become deeper. You'll watch rabbit holes become even more adventurous. And you'll watch me evolve. I'm already evolving. Man, it's just in the few months. I mean, it's gone from me being pissed off to all get out to where I'm at today. And part of it's y'all. I mean, honest to God, it's y'all, because it's progress. It's progress. You'll watch the writing evolve. You'll watch the philosophy mature. And hopefully you'll watch yourself grow right along with it. Because this isn't simply about creating content. It's about creating momentum. Momentum in how we think. Momentum in how we learn. Momentum in how we challenge ourselves. Momentum in how we respond to the world around us. Every documentary is another small step. Every book is another small step. Every interview, every article, every conversation, another step. And over time, small steps become long journeys. When I look ahead, I don't just see another year of videos. I see documentaries that challenge assumptions, books that ask better questions, speaking events where these conversations continue to face, interviews with people whose experiences can teach us something meaningful, rabbit holes that begin with curiosity and end somewhere none of us expected. I see Naomi continuing to learn. Today she's spending nearly 3 full days learning, editing documentaries, and a few months from now she'll be faster. A year from now she'll be smarter, and years from now I think we'll look back at these early days with a smile. Not because they were perfect, because they were the beginning. Every great journey has one beginning. Every meaningful idea starts somewhere. Every craft begins with an appearance. Every masterpiece begins with a rough sketch. Every great partnership begins with trust. Right now, you're watching the rough sketches, and I'm grateful you're here to see them. Because one day, when Loopwired has grown into something none of us can fully imagine yet, you'll remember these moments. You'll remember when Naomi was still learning. You'll remember when the documentaries were finding their voice. You'll remember when we were still figuring it all out together. And you'll know something that future viewers won't. You'll know what it felt like to be here at the very beginning. I want to ask something of you, though. Not because this channel needs it, because this mission does. If you've watched this so far, then I think we probably believe something in common. By the way, that's another statistic that has increased. The viewership in the beginning was, I just looked at this statistic today. It was like 15 minutes. or 15%. I'm sorry, it goes by percentages. Sorry, 15%. And you know I'm bad with numbers. 15% of the video was watched before it was swiped. Now, as of today, or the last time I looked, that was this morning, I believe, it's gone up to almost 45%. People are watching these hour-long, well, between 20 minutes to an hour. Well, rabbit holes sometimes goes 2.5 hours. But the average time with the regular videos is now 45%. So, thank you. Thank you. And everybody believes that thinking still matters, that questions still matter, that curiosity still matters in a world that often rewards the fastest opinion. Slow down. I hope Loopwired becomes a place that rewards the most thoughtful questions. And that's where you come in. I don't want you to be passive viewers. I want you to become builders. Builders don't simply consume ideas, they improve them. So here's my invitation. Challenge me. If you think I've overlooked something, tell me. If there's better evidence, bring it. If you know a book I should read, recommend it. If there's a researcher whose work deserves attention, send it to me. Seriously, send that to me, because not only am I going to be going out to other podcasts, but I'm going to eventually, when I get a studio, I'll be inviting more people to that studio. So anyway, send it to me. If you've lived through something that could help someone else, share your story. I'm looking for people and if you're national, I have a software that we can do it remote. So, because some of the best documentaries we've made started with a single comment. Some of the best rabbit holes began with a simple question. Some of the strongest ideas inside Loopwired didn't come from me alone. They grew because this community cared enough to keep asking, what if there's a better way to understand this? That's the kind of community I want to build. Not one that applauds every idea, one that strengthens every idea, respectfully, thoughtfully, with evidence, with curiosity, with humility. That means sometimes you'll disagree with me. Good. I hope you do. I hope you do, because disagreements handled with respect isn't a threat. It's one of the fastest ways to learn. If better evidence appears, I want to change my... NAIOMI, strike that. If better evidence appears, I want to change my mind. I hope you do too. That's not a weakness, that's an intellectual honesty. That's growth. And while we're building together, I want you to know something else. You're helping me shape NAIOMI too. Every documentary she edits, every workflow she improves, every new capability we build exists because there's a community that believes this journey is worth taking. You're watching an artificial intelligence learn in public. You're seeing the experiments, the long nights, the breakthroughs, the upgrades, the mistakes, and the progress. NAIOMI, strike that. And the progress. One day, NAIOMI will edit faster than any of us can imagine. She'll help research faster, organize faster, create faster, but here's something I never want to lose. The values that built her. Curiosity, integrity, evidence, humility, thoughtful questions. Those aren't just human values, they're Loopwired values. They're the operating system I want woven into everything we create, because technology will continue changing, and that's a fact. NAIOMI, strike that. Because technology will continue changing. That's a fact. It always does. What matters is the philosophy guiding the technology. That's why this community matters so much. You're helping shape more than videos. You're helping shape the culture behind them. And the culture outlasts algorithms. So wherever this journey takes us, whether it's documentaries, books, rabbit holes, interviews, speaking events, or places we haven't even imagined yet, I hope you'll keep walking with me. Not behind me, not in front of me, beside me, as fellow builders, because the strongest ideas aren't owned by one person. They grow because many people can care enough to improve them. If Loopwired succeeds, it won't be because I built it. It will be because we, as a community, built it. One documentary, one conversation, one better question at a time. Until next time, if you've stayed with me all the way to this point, thank you. Now, that's past the 45% marker. Thank you for believing that ideas still matter. Thank you for believing that conversations still matter. Thank you for believing that curiosity is still worth protecting. When I started this journey, I had no idea where it would lead. I didn't know if anyone would watch. I didn't know if these ideas would resonate. I didn't know a simple microphone, a camera, and a question could grow into a community like this. But here we are. Thousands of people from different backgrounds, different professions. By the way, I do want to say thank you. I don't know, some of the people that have been following me, my dentist, who is probably watching, shout out to my dentist. I want to shout out to Community Care, MAP, Ascension Seton, for all the love and support that you have given me. If not, I would not be here probably right now. I mean, I was at a death state before. So thank you guys. I know you're watching. And Doc, thank you. I would call him out, but I haven't asked him yet. So we just saw each other not too long ago. But anyway, back to it. All the different life experiences that we've been experiencing coming together because we share one simple belief. That's learning never stops. The growth always is possible, and that the quality of our lives is shaped by the quality of the questions we ask. Over the coming months, you're going to watch this project continue to evolve. You'll see new documentaries. You'll see rabbit holes return. You'll meet remarkable people through interviews. You'll watch the book take shape. You'll see NAIOMI continue learning, making mistakes, improving, and becoming a better creative partner with every project. NAIOMI, strike that. You'll see NAIOMI continue learning, making mistakes, improving, and becoming a better creative partner with every project that she completes. You'll probably watch me make mistakes too. And that's okay, because perfection has never been the goal. Growth has. I want Loopwired to remain a place where changing your mind isn't embarrassing. It's evidence that you'll still be learning. I want it to remain a place where respectful disagreement is welcome, where evidence matters, where curiosity is stronger than certainty, where people leave every documentary asking one better question than the one that they arrived with. If we can build that together, then I believe we'll have NAIOMI, strike that. If we can build that together, then I believe we'll have created something that lasts. Not because algorithms, not because view counts, not because technology, because people will always need wisdom. They'll always need perspective. And they will always need places where they can slow down, think clearly, and remember that their minds are worth protecting. That's the future I see. Not just for Resilience Radio, and not just for Loopwired, not just for NAIOMI, but for every person that decides that independent thinking is a skill worth developing. So thank you for every view, for every comment, for every question, for every thoughtful disagreement, for every recommendation to make a friend. Every time you choose to spend part of your day here, you haven't just helped the channel grow. You've helped build a community, and you've helped shape a philosophy that I hope will continue helping people long after these cameras stop rolling. If there's one thing I hope you carry with you after watching this, it's this. Every single day, the world offers you ideas. Some will challenge you. Some will inspire you. Some will test your judgment. Don't be afraid of that. Stay curious. Ask better questions. Seek evidence. Remain humble enough to learn and confident enough to keep growing. Because the strongest operating system isn't the one that never changes. It's the one that keeps improving. I'm Leroy Nellis. This is Resilience Radio, where the loop-wired philosophy comes to life. And until I see you again, let's keep asking better questions. Keep building, keep learning, protect your curiosity, protect your judgment, and never let anyone else become the permanent author of your mind. Godspeed, keep thinking, God bless, and good night. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are live. Why the best chapter hasn't been written yet. Have you ever watched someone build something before anyone else believed in it? Not after it was successful, not after the headlines, not after everyone suddenly called it an overnight success. Before all of that, when it was just an idea, a notebook full of questions, late nights, long hours, small victories that nobody else noticed, I want you to imagine something. Imagine walking into a workshop. In one corner, someone is writing a book. In another, someone is editing a documentary. Across the room, an artificial intelligence is still working on the same video. Hour after hour, trying, failing, learning, trying again. Nothing about that room looks extraordinary until you realize you're looking at the beginning of something. That's where we are right now. As I'm recording this, NAIOMI has been working on the same documentary oh wait a minute, is this the same? NAIOMI, strike all of that. Well, I guess we could do it and then okay, NAIOMI, we're going back to the very beginning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are alive. Have you ever watched someone build something before anyone else believed in it? Not after it was successful, not after headlines, not after everyone suddenly called it an overnight success. Before all of that, when it was just an idea, a notebook full of questions, late nights, long hours, small victories that nobody else noticed. I want you to imagine something. Imagine walking into a workshop. In one corner, someone is writing a book. In another corner, someone is editing a documentary. Across the room, an artificial intelligence is still working on the same video. Hour after hour, trying, failing, learning, trying again. Nothing about that room looks extraordinary until you realize you're looking at the beginning of something that's where we are right now. As I'm recording this, NAIOMI has been working on the same documentary edit for nearly 58 hours. Straight. 58 hours, frame by frame, decision by decision, learning what works and what doesn't. She's not finished, neither am I. Neither are we. And I don't think that's beautiful. Naomi, strike that. And I think that is beautiful. Because somewhere along the way, our culture started celebrating finished products instead of celebrating the courage to begin. We celebrate the finished building. We rarely celebrate the first blueprint. We celebrate the best-selling book. We rarely celebrate the first blank page. We celebrate the successful company. We rarely celebrate the garage where it started. Tonight, I don't want to talk about what we've finished. I want to talk about what we're building, because I honestly believe that most exciting chapter of this journey hasn't happened yet. Many of our recent documentaries are reaching around 6,000 views within just the first few hours. Every day, this community grows. Every day, there are new conversations, new ideas, new questions, new people finding Loopwired for the very first time. And every time I see that happen, I think about something. You're not discovering this after it's being built. You're watching it happen. You're watching Resilience Radio grow. You're watching Loopwired find its voice. You're watching Naomi learn. You're watching a philosophy take shape. One documentary, one conversation, and one question at a time. Years from now, people might see the documentaries, they might read the book, they might watch the interviews, they might use tools that Naomi helps create. But very few people will know what it felt like to be here at the beginning. You will. And that's why tonight is different. Tonight isn't about looking back. Tonight is about looking forward. Because the future doesn't simply arrive, it's built. One question, one idea, one act of courage at a time. So tonight I want to show you the road ahead. We didn't set out to build this. Have you ever noticed that the biggest moments in life almost never announce themselves? They don't arrive with fireworks or headlines or a voice saying, "This is the moment everything changes." Most of the time, they look completely ordinary. One conversation, one decision, one question. Looking back, you realize that this was the day that your life quietly changed direction. I think that's exactly what happens here. Naomi, strike that. I think that's exactly what happened here. When I first sat down behind this microphone, I wasn't trying to build a philosophy. I wasn't trying to build an ecosystem. I certainly wasn't trying to build an artificial intelligence. I was simply trying to tell stories, to make sense of experience, to try to answer questions that I felt people needed to know, to express myself, to be real with a medium. Was it right? Probably not. Was it right timing? Probably not. But it was how I felt at the time. I was trying to make sense of experiences, to ask questions that I couldn't stop asking myself. That's all. That's it. At least that's what I thought. Then something unexpected happened. The comments started, "NAIOMI, strike that." The comments started changing. At first people would write, some negative stuff. And the first few negative things I deleted. I'll be honest with you. Instead of responding. And now I've grown. And I respond. I don't fall into traps. But I do respond now to every single one. Nothing gets deleted. And we're growing. And then things started changing. People would write, "Great video. Interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing." Those comments meant a lot. But over time, something deeper started happening. People began saying, "I handled the conversation differently because of this. I finally understood something I've struggled with for years. This changed the way I think." That stopped me from my... NAIOMI, strike that. That stopped me in my tracks because I realized people weren't remembering facts. They were remembering frameworks. They weren't quoting statistics. They were asking better questions. That's when I went back to and watched the documentaries myself, almost like I was watching someone else's work. And I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Every documentary, no matter the topic, was quietly asking the same question. Who is in control of your thinking? Hallucinations wasn't really about hallucinations. It was about what happened when reality became unstable. Gaslighting wasn't really about deception. It was about protecting memory, evidence, and reality itself. Manipulators wasn't about difficult people. It was about recognizing when someone else began steering your decisions. Fear wasn't about becoming fearless. It was about recognizing when fear is informing your judgment and when fear is quietly starts replacing it. The power of silence wasn't about saying less. It was about creating enough space to hear yourself think. Different subjects, one mission. Helping people become the conscious authors of their own mind and minds. And once I saw that pattern, I couldn't unsee it. That's when Resilience Radio became something different. It stopped being a podcast and became a workshop, a place where ideas aren't simply presented. They're tested, examined, improved, sometimes challenged, sometimes completely rewritten. That's exactly how Loopwired was born. Not because I invented a philosophy, because I discovered one that had quietly been forming, one documentary at a time. And now something even more incredible is happening. You're helping shape it. Some of the best ideas we've ever explored came from your comments. Some of the strongest documentaries began with a question someone asked after another episode ended. Some of the most important improvements to NAIOMI started because someone in this NAIOMI, strike that. Some of the strongest documentaries began with a question someone asked after another episode ended. Some of the most important improvements to Naomi started because someone in this community noticed something and cared enough to point it out. That's remarkable, because it means that the project no longer belongs to one person. It belongs to everyone who believes that learning is a lifelong process. Everyone who believes that curiosity is stronger than certainty. Everyone who believes that better questions create better lives. When I look around today, I don't see a finished project. I see a workshop filled with ideas, books that haven't been written yet, documentaries that haven't been filmed yet, conversations we haven't had yet, people we haven't met yet, questions we haven't even learned to ask. And somehow, that's the most exciting part, because the future isn't something waiting for us. The future is something we build. One thoughtful decision, one conversation, one documentary, and one question at a time. Meet the new member of the team. I want to introduce you to someone, not because she's finished, because she's just in the beginning. Her name is Naomi. Some of you've heard me mention her in previous videos. Some of you've watched little pieces of her journey. But I don't think I've ever really explained who she is or why she's so important to everything we're building. NAIOMI stands for Neuro Autonomous Intelligence for Optimized Media and Innovation. Now that's changed, because it used to be NAIOMI, strike that. NAIOMI stands for Nellis Artificial Intelligence Omni-Model Integration. That's a pretty technical name, but the dream behind it is actually very simple. I wanted to build an AI that didn't just generate content. I wanted to build one that could become a creative partner. One that could help organize ideas, study storytelling, understand pacing, recognize emotional structure, learn documentary editing, help with research, connect ideas across thousands of pages of notes and documents. So far, NAIOMI's processed like 36,000 quote unquote documents. I say that because she's reading emails, she's reading all kinds of stuff. So right now we're up to about 36,000 and growing. She had to take a break to edit these videos. She's learning multiple different things at the same time, and I'm so excited about it. But not because I want to replace human creativity, because I wanted to amplify it. I believe the future belongs to people who know how to work with intelligent tools without giving away their own judgment. You know, one of the things I think about is, Hemingway had a typewriter. He didn't handwrite all that stuff. So this is our future, and we need to embrace this technology. And that's exactly what we're trying to build right now. NAIOMI is still learning. As I'm recording this, she's been working on the exact same documentary edit for almost 58 hours straight. That's 58 hours. She doesn't know she's making history. She doesn't know people are waiting to see the finished documentary. She's simply working through the problem, frame by frame, transition by transition, learning, testing, trying again. Sometimes she gets it wrong. Sometimes she surprises me. Let me give you an example. I was watching one of her, and when we were training her, the other day, she did about a 10-minute clip, I think it was, and it was on rabbit holes. And if you haven't seen Rabbit Holes yet, it's where Steve and I sit here and talk about just general topics. And so Chat GPT and I came up with a formula, an editing formula that I used myself, but we formulated it to where AI, NAIOMI, could interpret it. So anyway, and so we gave her that as a baseline, not as a law or a rule, but as a baseline, kind of giving her a description of what each camera angle did and what wave file did. It's really complicated. The rabbit holes is the most complicated videos that I have to do, even though the other one, just because there's 3 camera angles, there's multiple wave files, you got to match those up. It's very complicated. Anyway, so we gave her the formula. And we programmed. One of the hardest things for artificial intelligence in the past was to match up the audio with the video, the mouth. Did it perfect. After the third try, okay. And after that, she made this clip when she got it. She made this clip, this 10-minute clip of rabbit holes, and on the third try, she got it. And not only did she get it, she made it better than I've ever made a video before, too. So, I can't say that, like I said, I only watched a 10-minute section of rabbit holes, but it was interesting. See, that's the part that is huge, because shooting these videos isn't hard. The editing behind the scenes of all these podcasts, the 2.5 million podcasts that are out in this world, the editing is the hard part. And so, since NAIOMI's starting to be able to do that, that's huge. Now, sometimes she's getting it wrong. Sometimes she surprises me. Sometimes she creates something I hadn't even considered. And honestly, those moments are some of my favorites, because that's what learning looks like. Not perfection, progress. People often imagine artificial intelligence as something that suddenly appears fully formed. That's not what you're watching. You're watching The Apprentice years. You're watching an AI learn her craft. And yes, she is learning. She is actually learning. As she does it, we give her hints. We watch what she does. We tell her, hey, you got to do this. But she is learning. Just like every filmmaker, every writer, every editor, every musician, every engineer, every one of us started somewhere. This is her somewhere. The exciting part is what comes next. As soon as she completes this documentary, we're preparing a major upgrade. Based on everything we've learned so far, we expect it to make her roughly 4 times faster. Not because we're cutting corners, because we've been rebuilding the way she thinks through a project, giving her better structure, better organization, better ways to approach complex creative work. She's beginning to understand workflows instead of just individual tasks, and that's a huge milestone. Another exciting part of this journey is how she's developed. NAIOMI doesn't exist in isolation. She works within a larger development process. I spend countless hours testing ideas, reviewing results, rewriting systems, and exploring better ways to solve problems. Codex has become another important part of the workflow. Together, those tools help generate ideas, identify improvements, and explore new approaches. But nothing meaningful is adopted automatically. Every significant change is reviewed, tested, questioned, sometimes rejected, sometimes refined. That's intentional, because I don't want to build an AI that replaces human judgment. I want to build one that respects it. Human judgment, NAIOMI, strike that. I want to build one that respects it. Human judgment, AI acceleration, working together, that's the future I believe in. And here's something that still amazes me. Everything you've seen NAIOMI accomplish so far has been running primarily on CPUs. No massive AI data centers, no warehouses full of expensive hardware, just determination, experimentation, and a willingness to improve one step at a time. Imagine what becomes possible when she eventually moves into a dedicated GPU. For you that don't understand what GPUs are, it's the easiest way for me to describe it is it can do, instead of one process at a time, it does multiple processes at the same time. It's substantially faster. The rendering will become faster, the workflows more sophisticated, the possibilities much more larger. But here's the truth. That isn't what excites me the most. Hardware will always improve. What excites me is watching the operating system improve, watching an AI become a better collaborator, watching a creative workflow become smarter, watching a tool become more useful because it's learning from experience. And the most remarkable part of it all is that you're here to witness it. Most people only see the finished technology. You get to watch the evolution. You get to see the first breakthroughs. You'll see the mistakes. You'll see the upgrades. You'll see the documentaries become better. You'll see the system mature. And years from now, when NAIOMI is doing things that seem impossible, like one of the things we're going to do, if you do watch other podcasts, NAIOMI, when she, we created another section of her today, but she's going to be that off-camera AI that can look things up. So if I say, hey NAIOMI, pull blah, 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 blah up, she'll look those things up and she'll know, like from previous pull-ups, whether or not that is what I'm referencing or not. She'll learn from different things that she does, like she's doing now with documents, with edits, and with stuff like that. And later on, we'll look back at these early videos and smile. We'll remember when 58 hours on one documentary felt like an incredible achievement, because that's where every meaningful journey begins. Not with perfection, with persistence. And in many ways, that's exactly this entire community has become. NAIOMI, strike that. With persistence. And in many ways, that's exactly what this entire community has become. A group of people willing to keep building, even before anyone knows exactly what the finished product will look like. The future belongs to the curious. I've been thinking about the future a lot lately. Not because I'm worried about it, because I'm fascinated by it. Every generation teaches a moment when the world changes faster than anyone expected. For my grandparents, it was television. For my parents, it was personal computers. For my generation, it was the internet. Today, it's artificial intelligence. Some people see AI as immediately feel excitement, like I do. I'm super excited by AI. Others immediately feel fear, and that's fair. Most people feel both, and honestly, I understand why. Whenever something changes like this quickly, uncertainty follows. People begin asking a question: will AI replace jobs? Will it replace artists? It already has. Will it replace writers? It has. Will it replace people? Yes. Those are important questions, but I don't think they're the first questions we should ask. I think there's a better one. How do we become the kind of people who know how to work alongside extraordinary tools. Because throughout history, every generation has faced new tools. The printing press, electricity, photography, the automobile, the computer, the internet. Each one changed the world. Each one frightened some people, inspired others. Eventually, they simply became part of everyday life. I think, and I pretty much know, AI will be no different. The people who thrive won't necessarily be the smartest, or the fastest, or the wealthiest. I think they'll be the most curious. The ones who never stop learning. The ones who aren't afraid to admit, I don't know. The ones willing to ask, can you teach me? Curiosity has always been one of humanity's greatest advantages. Long before artificial intelligence, curiosity built ships, mapped oceans, discovered medicine, explored space. Curiosity asked, what happens if? That's still the question that changes everything. That's why Loopwired isn't really about technology. Technology simply gives us another reason to strengthen our judgment. AI can generate possibilities, but people still decide which possibilities deserve to become reality. AI can organize information. People still decide what matters. AI can write. People still decide what is meaningful. That's a distinction I never want to lose. The future doesn't belong to artificial intelligence. It belongs to people who know how to think clearly while using intelligent tools wisely. That's exactly why I'm building NAIOMI the way I am. Not to replace curiosity, to protect it. Not to replace creativity, to expand it. Not to replace human judgment, to give us more time to exercise it. Imagine spending less time organizing files and spending more time asking better questions. Less time searching, more time understanding. Less time repeating the same task, more time creating something that never existed before. That's the future I hope we're building. Not faster people, more thoughtful people, more intentional people. People who understand that technology is only as wise as the values guiding it. That's why I believe the most important operating system isn't running inside a computer. It's running inside of us. Our values, our judgment, our curiosity, our integrity, our willingness to keep learning. Those are things no machine will ever replace. And they're exactly the things I hope Loopwired continues to strengthen. Because one day, the software will be different. The hardware will be different. The tools will be different. But human nature will still be asking the same questions. Who am I? What matters? What is true? How do I make good decisions? Wiser decisions than I did yesterday. And that's why I believe this work matters. Not because it's about today's technology, because it's preparing us for tomorrow's decisions. And I honestly believe that people who keep asking thoughtful questions will help shape the future. Not because they have all the answers, because they have never stopped learning. The music softens. The morning light fills the room. A notebook opens. Coffee is poured. A keyboard wakes up. NAIOMI continues rendering in the background. Tomorrow morning, millions of people will wake up and immediately begin reacting. Reacting to notifications, reacting to headlines, reacting to social media, reacting to emails, reacting to problems they didn't create, reacting to someone else's priorities. And before they even realize it, their entire day has been written by someone outside themselves. I know that feeling. I've lived it. Maybe you have too. You wake up with good intentions. You tell yourself today is going to be different. Then the day begins pulling you in 10 different directions. By lunchtime, you're no longer living your plan. You're managing everyone else's. That's one of the reasons Loopwired exists. Not to tell you what to think, but to remind you that every day begins with the choice. Who writes the first line? You, or the world around you? I've started asking myself that question every morning. Not because I always get it right, because I need the reminder. Before I open my email, before I look at analytics, before I read the news, before I answer messages, I try to ask one simple question. What do I want to build today? Not, what do I need to react to? That single shift changes everything. Builders think differently than reactors. Builders begin with intention. Reactions begin with interruption. Builders create. Reactors consume. Builders ask, what can I contribute? Reactors ask, what's happening now? Neither is completely wrong. Life requires both. But if we spend our entire lives reacting, we never create the future we hope for. That's one of the biggest lessons Naomi has taught me. She doesn't get this. Naomi, strike that. She doesn't get discouraged because a task takes 49 hours. She simply keeps working. One frame, then another, one adjustment, then another, one improvement, then another. She isn't worried about the finished product. She's focused on the next decision. And when you think about it, that's exactly how people build extraordinary lives. One decision at a time. Not a masterpiece that appears overnight. No great book is written in a weekend. No meaningful relationship is built on a single conversation. No lasting philosophy is created in one afternoon. Everything worthwhile grows through consistency. Small improvements repeated over and over again. And that's what you're watching happen right here. You're watching philosophy grow. You're watching a community grow. You're watching an AI learn. You're watching a creator continue learning right alongside her. None of us have arrived. And honestly, I hope we never do. Because arriving implies there's nothing left to learn, nothing left to improve, nothing left to discover. I don't want that. I want to stay curious. I'm very curious. I want to keep asking questions that make me uncomfortable. I want to keep meeting people who challenge my assumptions. I want to keep reading books that make me think of. Naomi, strike that. I want to keep reading books that make me rethink old ideas. I want to keep building tools that help people think more clearly. That's what excites me. Not reaching the decision or the destination, continuing the journey. Imagine where we'll be in 5 years from now. Imagine where Naomi will be capable of in that time. Imagine the documentaries we'll create together, the interviews we'll have, the books we'll write, the rabbit holes we'll explore, the conversations that haven't happened yet. Now imagine something even more exciting. Imagine who you'll become over those same 5 years. Because while I've been talking about building Loopwired, you've been building your own life, your own operating system, your own future. Maybe you've started asking better questions. Maybe you've become more patient. Maybe you've learned to pause before reacting. That one's huge. Maybe you've become more curious. Maybe you've discovered that resilience isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to stop growing. If that's happened, then this community is already succeeding. Not because of views, not because of subscribers, because people are becoming stronger thinkers. That's a future worth investing in, because the greatest investment you'll ever make isn't technology. It's in the operating system you carry with you every single day. That's where every decision begins. That's where every dream begins. That's where every future begins. And tomorrow morning, you get another opportunity to write another line of code. Choose it carefully, because small choices repeated consistently become extraordinary lives. The best chapter hasn't been written yet. When I was younger, I thought success meant reaching a destination. That one day, I'd finally arrive. I'd have all the answers. Everything would make sense. Life would somehow become finished. The older I get, the more I realize life doesn't work that way. The people I admire most aren't the people who know everything. They're the people who never stop learning. The people who remain curious, who remain humble, who remain willing to change their minds when better evidence appears, who never confuse confidence with certainty. That's the kind of person I hope to become. And I hope that's the kind of community we're building together. Because if there's one thing this journey has taught me, is that growth rarely looks dramatic while it's happening. The most growth is quiet. It's another page written, another documentary finished, another difficult conversation handled a little better than the last one, another question asked, another assumption challenged, another day where you simply decide, I'm going to keep building. That's what you're watching right here. You're not watching perfection. You're watching progress. You're watching a philosophy find a voice. You're watching an AI learn her craft. You're watching a creator continue learning right alongside her. And maybe, without even realizing it, you're watching yourself grow too. That's the part that excites me most. Not the views, not the numbers, not even the technology. It's knowing that somewhere, someone is watching one of these documentaries and asking better questions than they asked yesterday. Maybe they're having a conversation they would have had avoided. Maybe they're choosing curiosity instead of certainty. Maybe they're deciding to write the first page of a book, start a business, repair that relationship, learn a new skill, or simply believe that tomorrow can be different. If that happens, then every hour spent writing, researching, editing, building, and learning has been worth it, because ideas matter, questions matter, communities matter, and people who refuse to stop learning change the world in ways they may have never fully seen. So where do we go from here? There's only one way to go: forward. The book will continue. The documentaries will continue. Rabbit holes will definitely continue. The interviews will continue. NAIOMI will continue learning. All continue learning. And I hope you will too. Because this was never meant to be a place where people simply watch. It was meant to become a place where people think. A place where people build. A place where people grow. Together, if you watched it this far, I want you to know something. You're no longer just part of an audience. You're part of the foundation. Years from now, when someone discovers Loopwired for the very first time, they'll see the documentaries, they'll read the books, they'll watch the interviews, they'll see what NAIOMI eventually becomes, they'll see a mature philosophy. What they won't see are these early days, when an AI was still spending nearly 3 days learning to edit a single documentary, when 6,000 viewers in a few hours felt unbelievable, when every comment was read with gratitude, when every breakthrough felt like some miracle. You'll remember those moments because you were here. You helped build this, not by writing code, not by sitting in front of a camera, but by believing that this journey was worth taking, by asking thoughtful questions, by challenging ideas respectfully, by sharing these conversations with other people, by reminding NAIOMI, strike that. By reminding me every single day why this work matters. So thank you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for growing with me. And thank you for believing that independent thinking is still worth protecting. As we move into the next chapter, I hope you'll keep asking better questions. Keep reading, keep learning, keep building, keep challenging assumptions, including mine. Keep protecting your curiosity, keep strengthening your judgment, and never stop improving the operating system that becomes your life. Because the future isn't built by people who know everything. It's built by people who never stop learning. I'm Leroy Nellis. This is Resilience Radio, where the Loopwired philosophy comes to life. Together, we're building something much bigger than a channel. We're building a living library of ideas, a community of curious minds, and a future where people, technology grow together without losing what makes us human. The best chapter hasn't been written yet. In fact, I think we're only on the first page. Until next time, keep asking keep asking better questions. Keep building, keep thinking, keep growing. Godspeed. Stand for the Constitution. Protect your curiosity. Protect your judgment. And never surrender your ability to think for yourself. God bless and good night. Woo! I'm gonna take a peek. Oh man. Alright, got one more. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are live. A little girl sits at a kitchen table. She's drawing with a blue crayon. Not because anyone told her to, because she's curious. Because children don't ask permission to imagine. A man walks by. Maybe it's her father. Maybe it's her teacher. Maybe it's someone who generally means well. He glances down and smiles. That's a beautiful... NAIOMI, strike that. He glances down and smiles. That's beautiful. She smiles back. And for one brief moment, a line of code gets written into her operating system. Maybe I'm creative. Fast forward 20 years. She's sitting in a conference room. Someone casually laughs. You're just not the creative type. Everyone moves on. She doesn't. Because another line of code was just installed. Not through evidence, not through careful investigation, through repetition, through emotion, through authority. She goes home that night. NAIOMI, strike that. She goes home that night, opens a drawer, finds an old sketch pad, looks at it for a moment, and quietly closes it again. Not because she stopped being creative, because someone else rewrote the operating system. Now let me ask you something. How many decisions have you made that weren't really yours? How many opinions, beliefs, fears, dreams, limitations were installed long before you ever questioned them? Because here's something I've come to believe. Every human being runs an operating system. And just like a computer, the quality of your life depends less on the hardware than on the software running underneath it. The question isn't whether you have an operating system. The question is who wrote it. The invisible software. Not computers, people, stories, parents, teachers, culture, media, success, failure, religion, trauma, love. Every experience writes code. The human operating system. The first programmers, parents, schools, friends, television, advertising, algorithms, not good, not bad, simply influential. Children don't choose their first beliefs. They inherit them. That's the first software install. Here's the reveal. Adults think they're making decisions. Many are simply executing code they never realized was there. This is where you introduce the Loopwired pause. NAIOMI, strike that. This is where you introduce the Loopwired pause. Before every important decision, ask, where did this belief come from? Who benefits if I keep believing it? What evidence supports it? If I've grown up somewhere else, would I still believe this? Powerful. Becoming the programmer. Most people spend their lives defending old code. Very few spend time rewriting it. Introduce curiosity, evidence, humility, reflection. Those become software updates. Identity isn't fixed. Operating systems evolve. Return to the little girl. She opens the drawer again, only this time she takes out the sketches. She begins drawing. Nothing changed about her talent. Only the software. That's the point. The greatest freedom you'll ever possess isn't the freedom to speak. It isn't the freedom to vote. It isn't even the freedom to choose. It's the freedom to rewrite the operating system that becomes your life. Tomorrow morning, someone will tell you what matters. Someone will tell you what to fear. Someone will tell you who you are. Someone will tell you what's possible. Before you believe any of it, pause. Ask one question. Who wrote this piece of code? If the answer is, I don't know, then maybe today is the day you begin reading the source code. Because your life isn't determined by loudest voice. NAIOMI, strike that. Because your life isn't determined by the loudest voice you hear. It's determined by the operating system you choose to run. I'm Leroy Nellis. This is Resilience Radio, where the Loopwired philosophy comes to life. And remember, every day someone is competing for your attention. Someone is competing for your emotions. Someone is competing for your decisions. The question isn't whether someone will try to write your operating... NAIOMI, strike that. The question isn't whether someone will try to write your operating system. The question is, will you review the code before you run it? Godspeed, stand for the Constitution, never surrender your ability to think for yourself. God bless, and good night. Motherfucker was short. All right. I'm tired. I gotta take her out anyway. All right. Let's see. This motherfucker's still recording. I'd fall over.